spurting that arena, puffing Pasadena. He read the grass was greener.
MacBook Pro 2018 with Touchbar is the most expensive purchase I've ever made. The only purchase I'm making in the near future that will exceed this MacBook Pro in price is my first car. So when you're talking about a computer that costs $1,800, it better do everything right and exceed expectations wherever possible. But first, I think I need to backtrack as to how I decided to spend $1,800 on this laptop. As with a price so high, I think it needs to be at the forefront of this review. So I'm a freelance photographer and filmmaker, and that requires travel. I was just down in California to film an upcoming project of mine, and as part of that trip, I had to edit photos and video in Adobe Photoshop and Premiere on my 2012 MacBook Pro. It was painful to say the least. Even with the numerous upgrades I've done on that computer, it still took 15 minutes to do a single edit on a photo in Adobe Photoshop. And that's just to make one change to the photo. That doesn't include saving it, exporting it, or even adjusting what I'm doing. This is waiting 15 minutes to even see what the effect looks like before exporting. All of that lagginess resulted in this cover photo for my upcoming film, taking 6 hours of off and on editing on that laptop. Not to mention the old TN panels in the non-Retina MacBook Pros are not color accurate at all, making them an awful choice for photo editing, which is entirely what I use that laptop for. So at this point, I finally realized that it was time for an upgrade. And I know that I'm going to get numerous recommendations for cheaper Windows laptops that could blow the MacBook Pros out of the water in terms of price to performance. And personally, I do care about specs quite a bit. But at the same time, I also care about portability, design, durability, and macOS. It's definitely all about what you care about in the laptop that you purchase. And my taste is probably different from your taste, as it is between everyone. So anyway, I think it's finally time we discuss whether or not the 2018 13-inch MacBook Pro with Touch Bar is a good purchase for people like me and other people looking for MacBook Pros. So let's get on to the review. Starting with the design, I think this is the best design Apple has ever made on a laptop. Don't at me. It looks amazing, but it's also quite functional at that. Hear me out, but I think even the I/O configuration is pretty solid. Being able to come home, plug one cable into the laptop, and have that drive your display, all your USB devices, and charge your machine is something that just wasn't possible on the older USB Type-A setup, especially since the older MacBook Pros didn't have enough USB ports for me anyway, so I was bound to use a hub regardless. It's better plugging in just one USB hub when I get home rather than 4 cables for a USB hub, power, Ethernet, and display. Though the omission of an SD card slot is not really excusable on a Pro machine, I don't know why Apple would do that. On to the next thing I like that's going to get me disliked into oblivion is the butterfly keyboard. The new butterfly keyboard has been redesigned to not only feel better, but not kill itself on your $2,000 laptop. It only took them 3 years to design a keyboard that doesn't kill itself upon use. That's my Apple. But now that the numerous keyboard issues are behind us, I can happily say that I love the feeling of the butterfly keyboard. It has a tactile clicky feel to it, and I'd say that's one of the best on the market. Above the keyboard is controversy number 418 with this laptop, that being the Touch Bar. If you're one of the thousands of people using a MacBook Pro for professional work, you're gonna hate this. But if you're like me and primarily stick to photo and video editing applications, you'll hate it less, TM. On one hand, it provides useful and intuitive shortcuts in whatever program you're currently using. But on the other hand, it's a seizure-inducing little touchscreen that flashes while you're multitasking and also takes away tactile keys that people use all the time. And if you're experienced in the programs that you're using, keyboard shortcuts will be a lot quicker than using the Touch Bar, just less intuitive. I'm really considering just turning on the setting that keeps the Touch Bar as a static set of function keys, but I'm not sure yet. Specs were part of this machine that both impressed me and disappointed me. We all knew that these laptops would be sporting 8th generation Intel i5 processors, but it didn't occur to me how much of a performance increase that would actually be. We're looking at Cinebench scores of 733 CB. That's less than 50 CB away from my desktop workstation. and that's in a 13-inch laptop. And let's talk about the VRM overheating issue for a second. When I first got this machine, it was running quite warm and throttling down to slower speeds. Apple addressed this issue in a software update and improved thermal performance in all 2018 MacBook Pros without making the fans spin faster. As a result, I went from a Cinebench score of 642 to 733, nearly a 100 CB improvement. To put that in perspective, my entire Windows laptop only scores 80 CB. So that's an improvement of more than an entire computer. Where the disappointment sets in is the RAM and storage configuration. For a $1,800 laptop, you should be getting 16GB of RAM and 512GB of storage. Not half that. If it wasn't ridiculously expensive to upgrade the RAM and storage to a decent amount, I would have done it, but going past $2,000 on a machine like this is just not happening for me. Thankfully, macOS is so optimized that I can deal with 8GB of RAM, whereas on Windows I require more than 16GB for the type of work I do. If I ever need to boot camp though, I'm completely screwed on RAM and storage. Though if I ever do need to get Windows for my MacBook, I'll know where to get it thanks to today's sponsor. You can get Windows 10 for the astonishing price of just $14 from companies like SCDkey, and you can get 10% off of anything on their store by using my code SK32M. So check out SCDkey using the link in the description. And next time you'd like to buy a game or operating system or piece of software, try using SCDkey. You can actually save some money that way. Anyway, that'll be it for this video. What do you think of the MacBook Pros? Comment down below, like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.